What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel with another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In today's video, we're going to be continuing my The Art of series, this time focusing on a brand new character in The Art of Leila. For those of you who are unfamiliar with who she is the pirate girl from Final Fantasy II, and she's going to be debuting soon in Global Opera Omnia. I'm going to be giving you guys a brief overview, as well as some of the things that she does with the live gameplay, and that way you guys will have a visual to help you guys decide on whether or not you're going to be investing in this character. Just a friendly reminder, I no longer go over in-depth stuff about these characters such as percentages and things like that. If you guys are looking for content creators or resources that cover that, be sure to check the links down below in the video description as well as the pinned comments. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into The Art of Leila. As you can see right here, I am taking a Final Fantasy II themed party, and spoiler alert, the battle that you are seeing right now in this live visual showcase is the Lufenia Plus that is tied to Leila's debut. Some of you guys might know who this particular boss is. It's a super cool boss fight because it's about time that they bring other enemies besides reskinned enemies to us in Opera Omnia. So I'm going to let Leon just kind of have his fun here before we go ahead and talk about Leila. Alright, so now it is Leila's turn. So quick overview, what does she do? She's an evade tank with support utility. She has a support-based counterattack. She wields the Thunder element and deals magic brave damage and has access to Thunder Imperil. She has party turn manipulation and free turns, and she has access to party HP damage resist. Talking about her skill 1 here, her skill 1 deals thunder damage with 3 HP attacks, dealing split HP damage on multiple targets. This grants her skill 1 buff. This buff grants the party attack up and max brave up. You generally will be pressing this skill to not just deal damage, but also to refresh her skill 1 buff before it expires. Her skill 2 also deals thunder damage with 2 HP attacks. This deals split HP damage on multiple targets as well. It grants her special overhead effect, the little effect that you see right over her head. And what this overhead effect does is it grants Leila guaranteed evasion, attack up, max brave up, HP damage up, and last stand. And then it grants the party HP damage resist up. And then it forces enemies to attack Leila, overriding targets with the lock debuff. This is very powerful because enemies that, let's say, are immune to lock, this particular overhead effect bypasses that because it forces them to attack her. You generally will be pressing this skill, again, not only to deal damage, but to refresh her overhead effect before it expires. Moving on to her C65, this just grants the party HP damage resist up, attack up, and brave damage cap up. Pretty simple. Now, talking about her EX, this has a fast recast. It allows Leila to begin the quest with her skill 1 buff and her overhead effect. It also has instant access at the start of the quest. This deals thunder damage with 3 HP attacks, dealing splash damage, and it inflicts her unique debuff that applies Thunder Imperil, brave damage down, and hit rate down. So she is allowing enemies to hit you less, like their brave damage is going to be less, and then their accuracy is also going to be lower. So that is pretty cool, and it plays along with her entire kit. Now, as far as her LD goes, her LD allows her to begin the quest with her LD buff. It deals thunder damage with 4 HP attacks and split HP damage on multiple targets. This grants her LD buff. So her LD buff grants the party brave damage up, HP damage up, stolen brave overflow up, HP regen, and brave refund after dealing HP damage. This also allows Leila to utilize her support counterattack when evading an attack. Now, the support counterattack, and we will get to see that in action, what this does is she heals the party's HP, heals the party's brave. It has gained brave overflow. It moves Leila's next turn immediately after the enemy that attacked her, and she also moves her allies' turns right after her own. And these turns that's a part of this counterattack, they don't count towards the turn count. So you could see why she is extremely efficient in terms of like keeping your turn count low. That is a very powerful counterattack. So the way that I like to play Leila is because her EX is instant cast at the start of the battle, I like to start off with that. So then that way we also can inflict that really powerful debuff, which has brave damage down, hit rate down, and as well as the Thunder Imperil. So then that way Leila herself can actually deal more damage with her Thunder element. Right, Maria is going to go ahead and utilize her LD here, and then you guys will get to see that counter attack in action. And then Leon, let's have him use his skill 2. All right, and now we get to see LEILA in action when this boss takes its turn. As you could see, it's targeting LEILA. She dodges, and then she does her counterattack. She heals the party, and she also batteries them. And then watch this. So now that LEILA's turn has come up, you're like, well, what do I press next? Everything that she needs is active at the start of the quest. Well, it's really up to you. I like to personally go into LD, so I at least have that LD buff active a little bit longer because it's going to be granted to her at 12 turns. So then that way you know when she evade and counters, you have access to that for 12 turns. And then Maria, let's go into skill 1. We'll get to see that counterattack in action one more time on this video. And remember, her EX recast is pretty fast, so you'll have access to that quite often. You generally will only be pressing her skill 1 and skill 2, like I said before in this video, when you want to refresh either the overhead effect, you use skill 2, or her skill 1 buff, you use her skill 1. So Leon, let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll get to see that particular attack in action again, or the counter attack. And generally with LEILA, her hardest hitting skills are going to be her LD and her EX. So it's great that she has access to the EX quite quickly. So then that way you could just spam that. So as you can see right here, we're doing that support counter attack. She brings everybody's turns, including her own. They're free. Now we have access to the EX. So honestly, she's pretty straightforward to use. And some brief summary and thoughts about her. She's very powerful in terms of support mechanics. That support counter attack is honestly, I think it's pretty broken, and it allows for crazy turn efficiency, keeping your own turn count low. She's very difficult to die with if you have her in her party, provided that you have a way to deal with lethal Lufenia plus orbs. But if you have LEILA in the party, it's pretty hard to die. So she's going to keep your party nice and healthy and also being very turn efficient. You want to avoid running her with turn hoggers, from my opinion, because in order to take advantage of that support counterattack, you want the boss to act. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to be running her with, I mean, you can run her with turn hoggers, but then you're not going to be really seeing the benefit of what she brings to the table. She can be pretty useful, I would say, for fights where bosses like to turn warp, because that's something that she could actually manipulate herself. Bosses turns warps, they attack, she evades, and then she brings your party's turns, including her turns, immediately after. So that's pretty cool. Something to note about her, though, is her own personal damage is pretty low. You could compensate for that with additional support to amp up her damage. So something to keep in mind. I know that people are going to be saying, well, 40, she's a support evade counterattack. She's not supposed to deal damage. That's true, but dealing damage is still important. So if your own support can deal more damage, why not do it, right? And then this is more of a meme, but it's also kind of true, but she can prolong fights to over 40 minutes long. I forgot who it was that said this. I think it was in the Dystopia Discord, but she can prolong your fights because of the way that she functions with, bringing her own turn and her allies' turns immediately after whatever attacked her. So yeah, she can prolong your fights. But all in all, I think her mechanics are broken in as far as what she's able to do. I mean, she has a taunt that bypasses taunt immunity. So, and then her actual counterattack heals your party, and it also batteries them, and they also get to take free turns immediately after. So it's pretty broken to me. I think she's a lot of fun. I definitely think for this particular month, she's definitely one of the characters that are highly anticipated, that players are looking forward to. So if you have the resources available, again, do your research. After you watch my video, check out the other content creators and utilize your resources such as the compendium. That way you guys can make an educated decision on whether or not you want to invest in LEILA. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and mahal everyone.